It's MrConectr. Welcome to the Great Awakening. Welcome to the financial revolution. Today's Tuesday, August 11th, 2026, and we've got the market intel report prepared for you, ready to go. Let's get to it. General geopolitical and macroeconomics actually is first. The Hormuz deal talk whipsaws as both sides demand reparations. WTI futures for oil 81.87 and Brent near 87.40. Intraday U.S. crude hovered around the low 82s after earlier gains as much as 3%. President Trump demanded that Iran pay reparations, and Tehran has floated reciprocal claims right back. Pakistan's defense minister floated that both sides may be close to some sort of arrangement, but then optimism faded. Trump also asserted that 100% control of the Strait of Hormuz, while energy shipping waiver language narrowed. Also, Zelensky in Ukraine warned that Russia is preparing escalation, not peace. The Ukraine's president said that Moscow is bringing in North Korean military equipment, raising ballistic missile production, and preparing mobilization. He cited an overnight strike into this city called Zaporizhzhia that killed actually 6 and injured 19. Kiev continues long-range strikes back into Russia, though. Trump confirms that he did contact Fed Chairman Kevin Warsh. He spoke with the chairman, but denied regular talks with the chairman after markets watched independence optics. That's like supposed to be the number one supreme law of the land is the independence of the Fed, which cannot never be questioned, right? Even limited White House Fed contact can reprice rate cut odds and dollar liquidity assumptions. The thing is they're thinking that Trump is relaying whatever he wants and that Warsh is going to do whatever Trump wants, but they're supposed to be independent at the same time. So there's no telling what's going on. I'm just bringing you the news as Conectr sees it. Let's keep it going. We're going to go to the general crypto market. We've got Bitcoin holding at about 64.3K as the oil noise hits weekend gains. Let's see what else we've got for the general crypto market. Strategy sells Bitcoin a second straight week. Treasury buyers still active elsewhere. So Strategy selling Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin ETFs are active because of the cold card hack last week or 2 weeks ago. And there's a flight to safety. We've got prices here. I usually don't like to go over the prices. You guys know what the prices are. You probably check it with me every morning when you wake up. So let's keep it going. MicroStrategy sold about $108 million of Bitcoin at a loss. And about $650 million of the master equity in the latest weekly window. Yet equity reaction was muted. Separately, Bitmine added 7,391 ETH to last week to their company. And Atom backed H100 more than triple holdings to 3,506 Bitcoin acquisitions via stock issuance. Corporate treasury behavior is no longer one way, never sell. So they're in and out. The corporate treasuries, they are active. They are buying and selling. Watch whether ETF creations absorb any secondary supply better than leverage equity proxies. Rails pulse. Let's look at the rails. The future is utility for this stuff. We want to see the on-chain rails and what they're doing. We've got news from Metallicus. They push a bank grade stack, and Stellar Builders calendar stays live. Here's the detail. Metallicus framed production blockchain payments as a governance equity identity problem and pitched a unified stack of wallets, stablecoins, lending, swaps, fiat connectivity for institutions, citing inclusion of the Metal blockchain, XBR, and Metal Layer 2 in the faster payments council landscape. That's right. Metallicus has been a service provider for FedNow. They were the first blockchain company on there for service providers, I think, and they were the only one with the liquidity check mark. So, a lot of these, there's a lot of service providers. There's hundreds of them on there, I think, for the FedNow, but most of you are fintechs that could use crypto, but the only actual crypto company on that list there might be more now, I'm not sure, but a couple months ago it was only Metallicus, and I think Bank Social, but Bank Social didn't have that liquidity check mark on the list. So very interested in what Metallicus is up to with the credit unions, local banking. Banks are going to, the smaller banks, the local banks, they're going to be on the level playing field up with the big banks now that they don't have to go to the big liquidity banks to pay them to move money, with the pre-funded relationships across the world. So that's where we're going. Let's see it happen. I know I'm ready for it. Stellar highlighted builders at the Stellar House Sao Paulo and Meridian 2026 early bird push. Ripple was quiet on product post in the 24-48 hour window. Public ledgers XRP validated sequence 106 million, load factor 1. Stellar about 63 million with heavy ops transaction counts. Quiet token tape does not equal dead rails though. Bank distribution narratives continue even when the ETF season prints a red flip. Overall, flow streak broken, price range intact, rails messaging still compounding every day. The info on these rails are compounding and how they will be used. And I love how these companies say, well, they're going to go ahead and start using this product or doing tokenizing, but will scale up at a later date once speed is available. Once I consider that once they use a bridge currency in the middle, to be able to get in and out of these walled gardens. That's what, the later date they keep talking about. Things are going to happen. Once this happens, they will scale up. Like they're all waiting on something to happen, right? Very interesting, and let's keep our eyes on it. Traditional finance and crypto convergence. We've got MoneyGram. The ramps went live on Solana for MoneyGram. Live since August the 1st. Giving Solana wallets and apps a single API into cash pickup into 170 plus countries and deposits in 25 plus countries. USDC on Solana is the core bridge for that. MoneyGram's MGUSD, USD backed, launched on Stellar around June 2026, is also the stack. MoneyGram has run Solana validator since 2022. I'm sorry, June the 22nd, 2026 is all. So they just started running that a couple months ago, alongside with other institutional names on the developer platform. So yeah, MoneyGram's going to use, they're just a private company, guys. They're going to use whatever blockchain they can to achieve their goals. So they were on Stellar, and now they've expanded to Solana. Very interesting. Keep your eyes on MoneyGram because they are in every country. They've got the on-ramps nailed, Let's see. We've got Broadridge distributed ledger repo prints 8 trillion July volume. Details: Broadridge's DLR platform processed about 8 trillion in July volume and continues adjacent on-chain proxy voting digital asset infrastructure services. Explanation is the repo tokenization volume at its notional is TradFi plumbing, not a retail narrative. Quiet support for RWA credibility. Broadridge distributed ledger repro 8 trillion in July volume. Man, they are rock and rolling. Grayscale withdraws ADA, Polkadot, and HBAR ETF registrations. Wow, interesting. We've got 3 sponsor-initiated SEC withdrawal filings. Minutes apart last Friday. Grayscale did not intend to proceed. None had gone effective. No shares issued, so they never even started these. They just withdrew the registrations for Cardano, Polkadot, and HBAR ETF registrations. I'm sad to see the HBAR registration go away. We know HBAR's got utility, guys, and of course the others do as well. Explanation: alt single asset ETF enthusiasm is being pruned toward liquidity and distributor demand. Concentrate attention on majors and yield-bearing RWA wrappers. So the single coin ETF registrations are not popular unless they're, a high volume, high up in market cap. Just a very few. So a lot of them are going with this combined asset wrapper, combined product. We've got Miner Complex accelerates AI pivot, Riot and Anthropic report. Riot platforms jumped sharply after reports of a multi-year AI infrastructure deal with Anthropic, seized around $9 billion. Bernstein raised its Riot target on the pivot. Keel said that it is shuttering all U.S. Bitcoin mining operations to focus on AI infrastructure. How many times have we heard that, guys? How many companies are stopping producing blocks on Bitcoin and they're using their GPUs for AI compute now? And regulatory developments. Crypto clarity remains parked past the August recess. Crowd odds stay depressed. Senate leadership already confirmed that there's no Clarity Act floor vote before the August recess. We've seen all that. The industry reaction over the last days still labels the delay disappointing, with September return into a compressed pre-midterm calendar. Prediction market yes on Clarity signed into law 2026 is only about 21.5 cents, which it was 11 last week. So if you got in on it last week and it actually passes this year, you're doing great on predictions. With the 24-hour volume on the event, that's a 24-hour volume at, nope, doesn't give it. Sorry, let's move on. UK lawmakers press banks on crypto account access ahead of the FCA regime. UK parliamentarians asked bank CEOs to explain crypto onboarding / refusal policies, calling access one of the single biggest barriers to growth as the new FCA crypto regime approaches. Explanation: the bank rails access is becoming a political file in the UK, the way market structure is in the US. Distribution bottleneck more than token listing bottleneck. Also, the CFTC here in the USA teased Innovation Advisory Committee for August the 20th. Enforcement still active elsewhere. We've got Chairman Schlegg at the CFTC. He set the inaugural CFTC Innovation Advisory Committee meeting for this August the 20th in Washington. Separately, a New York judge stayed the CFTC civil case against the U.S. soldier over alleged prediction market profits pending the criminal case. CFTC charged a private fund advisor, Audit Ventures, in an alleged fraud matter, not crypto specific, but active enforcement tone. The advisory track engagement and case management stays can run in parallel with hard enforcement. August 20th agenda for market structure and prediction market language. The policy beta is stuck on the Senate calendar math. UK bank access pressure is the secondary distribution story. Okay, we've got DeFi and RWA tokenization. GRVT targets $100 million Ondo USDY position for its balance sheet yield. The CDFI venture GRVD plans to build towards a $100 million USDY position over the next year and feed about 3.5% APY into the GRVD earn without forcing users to actually hold the token. USDY is a tokenized note backed mainly by short-term U.S. treasuries, treasury ETFs, and deposits. Hiding treasury yield inside a trading venue base rate is how RWA reaches users who will never open a tokenized dashboard. Hiding treasury yield inside a trading venue base rate is how RWA reaches users who never open a tokenized dashboard. Wow, I had to read that twice. Interesting. Uniswap dominates tokenized stock liquidity on the Robinhood chain. Don't forget, Robinhood's got its own chain, but I don't think there's a Robinhood token. We saw on the Intel report just yesterday that they will be using Ethereum as a gas token for this Robinhood chain. Uniswap V4 holds roughly 73% of DEX liquidity for tokenized stocks on the Robinhood chain. So look at there, guys. You've got the Ethereum, and then you've got the Uniswap, which is built on top of Ethereum, and Robinhood's using that for their tokenized swaps. Uniswap V4, and just remember that is not built into Ethereum. That is built on top of it. That DEX is not part of Ethereum. It is built on top of it. Unlike something like the XRP Ledger with a native token DEX built into the layer one. So I've always been worried a little bit about Uniswap and even dealing with them. I've never even dealt with an add-on DEX. I mean, most people don't even think anything about it, but to me, that's a little scary when you start adding a DEX, which is separate on top of a layer one. You know, I like it built into the protocol. What else do we have here? Camino also shows heavy share of tokenized stock deposits on Solana in parallel coverage. The fintech layer 2 and incumbent DEX hooks is becoming the default market structure. That's sad. Layer 2 and incumbent DEX hooks is becoming the default market structure. Yeah, I don't really like that. I want that DEX to be built into the layer one, at least, right? Don't add on a DEX and make it where you have to bridge over to it, right? Security drag. July hacks, $110 million. Fresh multi-chain exchange drain. BTC pay bounty. We've got another issue here. Details are the Immunify tallied about $110 million lost to hacks in July, with rising bounty competition activity. A separate exchange incident moved roughly $8 million across the Tron and Ethereum chains. BTC Pay server supports offered up to 3 Bitcoin recovery bounty after the critical exploit. AI-assisted attack suspected by the project. AI is on the attack, guys. RWA inflows and consumer ramps only stick if operational security keeps pace with it. Treat bounty spikes like lead indicators, not noise. We got some news on BRICS, exploring linking fast payment systems and CBDCs. RBI Governor Sanjay Mahora said BRICS talks is linking fast payment systems and CBDCs remain early stage, with India's UPI and China's CIPS among the networks discussed for this BRICS system, plus continued rupee internationalization. Explanation: long cycle sovereignty rail story, not a 24-hour price catalyst, but aligned with multipolar settlement experience. So BRICS is still hanging around, guys. Trump said BRICS is dead, but we still get information and news from other countries that they are still figuring it out. I was interested in BRICS because I found a similarity in the Interledger protocol and BRICS. And I'm not saying that there's a link there, but I'm seeing they're going to be set up the same way, right? Interledger protocol, there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. Right quick, ILP, for those who don't know, that's, Ripple came up with that protocol and they gave it to the World Wide Web Consortium. They gave away And basically it's a protocol, just like your email protocol, where payments can sit on the same layer, the same standards. And what it is, it's like a distributed nodes, ILP connector nodes that process transactions is all it is. So you've got all these centralized connector nodes, which have their own wallets, all the wallets, they can swap and do cross-chain swaps. Each little node can do their own little private cross-chain swap for you, right? So if you want to send Bitcoin, you can be on the Lightning Network even and send your recipient XRP from the Lightning Network. It sounds kind of wild, right? But no, it is possible. So you just send your Bitcoin to the node, which is practically a centralized exchange on the back end. They do the swap and they send the receiver the XRP because they own all the wallets, all the chains. They're able to swap anything they want. So to me, that's like a superior form of cross-chain communication right there. And the BRICS system is set up like that. It's centralized nodes like banks, and they actually have their own real-world off-chain assets where they can collateralize them and put them on chain. So the BRICS system requires, I think a while back it was like 40% gold, 60% national currencies. Well, that's because each node, each bank has its own vault, and they're able to actually tokenize their own physical currency or whatever that each bank has. Now that's set up that reminds me exactly like the ILP and how that works. So is it possible? I like to speculate a lot, but the system lines up just like that, where the BRICS system will be an ILP system. That's just me speculating, guys. I'm just seeing similarities and like to speculate a lot. Let's get to AI and blockchain. While we're going, let's code. Let's go. We've got AI infrastructure bid rewrites crypto adjacent equities. TSMC sales surged about 45% on AI demand. Street coverage highlight large-scale funding concepts around NVIDIA-linked AI build-out, including reports of a very large data center financing packages. Sound like a northern data center. Minor equities, Riot, Keel, BitDeer are pricing power, land, and interconnect more like AI landlords than pure hash rate. The AI bid is leaking into every scarce watt and rack, including former Bitcoin-only balance sheets. Bitcoin is definitely losing compute to AI. Model safety and provenance. Astra, Pulse, Chatter. Claude watermarks. Meta, Manifesto. Details are OpenAI related. Converge said next model, Astra, may be constrained over critical cyber capability risk until safeguards catch up. OpenAI also expanded its Daybreak cybersecurity partner effort. Anthropic said that Claude will apply invisible, machine-readable watermarks to generated text and images for EU-style transparency. Well, that's interesting. The AI forced to generate a watermark on whatever it creates for you. Wow. That's I think that's good. I feel like images should be watermarked if they're AI created. I use AI. I don't mind it being watermarked. The creation is the creativity comes from a lot from the prompt and the idea, and the AI just does the work for you, so we can still be creative through our prompting, and we can use these images, use AI for the good. That's my whole plan. Use it for the good and overpower the bad with it. Right. So there's ways to utilize this stuff and to turn anything that has a negative thing on the world into something positive for us using that technology, right? So it is there. It is definitely there for us to use it for the good. Let me keep going. I get off track. Ethereum roadmap elevates quantum readiness, privacy, and AI-assisted verification. Vitalik's latest roadmap messaging prioritizes quantum resistance and privacy. Virtual trees, state expiry constructs were emphasized during versus alternative paths, privacy, post-quantum scaling, and native rollup features more prominently than in 2023 diagram. Coverage also flags AI-assisted formal verification ambitions. This base layer research priority is shifting from pure throughput theater toward long horizon security and private settlement, relevant to institutions under multi-year custody horizons. The guys, we are right in the middle of them laying out the guardrails for AI. You can see it right here on today's market intel report, what all the companies are planning to do, especially to meet the EU-style transparency acts. Seems like the EU is pushing more than anyone else on all this. Okay, we've got prediction markets. Clarity Act is sitting at 21 cents after the recess punt. Trepa and Fireplace shut within hours. Kalshi and Polymarket take 93% of the volume. Details, we've got two smaller venues, Trepa and Fireplace. They told users to withdraw by September 30th. I think these are smaller prediction markets. Across 40 track venues, Kalshi and Polymarket took about 93% of their 30-day volume. Kalshi alone, 75%. Trepa's post-mortem argued genuinely active crypto audiences for products like their hundreds of thousands, not millions. Prediction markets are consolidating like every other exchange, virtual distribution, and simply beat novel mechanics. Legal data edges. CFTC case stayed. Flight Aware sues Kalshi. Here's the info on that. Details. Southern District of New York stayed CFTC civil action against a U.S. soldier over alleged $40,000 Polymarket profits tied to a Maduro removing contract from Venezuela. That what happened down there, pending criminal proceedings on that. So I guess Polymarket they're still waiting on criminal proceedings. So yeah, I guess what they do is they hold up the markets, the payout if there's a issue with that. And I guess if the person's already paid, then of course you have to go through them, go back and get the money through the court system. So it looks like maybe Polymarket's holding the funds, determining on the outcome of the court case, maybe. Interesting. We'll have to keep our eyes on this one. Okay, we've got risk and opportunity analysis. Risks are of course, the Hormuz oil premium and the ETF flow streak. Of course, the Clarity calendar risks and the security and agent risks, plus the Ukrainian escalation path. So that seems to be heating up over there between Russia and Ukraine. The opportunities, cash rails into the Solana Stellar stack. MoneyGram ramps up using Solana and Stellar now with the MoneyGram USD multi-chain. Real distribution, not a white paper. Tokenized treasuries inside consumer venues, the GRVT/Ondo USDY path and Roadbridge repo scale show yield plumbing maturing. We've got the equity-linked RWA liquidity with Robinhood chain, and the Uniswap concentration proves that fintechs can seed markets quickly. We've got the Bitcoin diversifier narrative, BlackRock's decouple framing plus prior week inflows still support patient capital even after one red session. So I guess we had a red day yesterday in the ETFs after 5 or 6 green days from cold card scare into the ETFs. Okay, let's get to our AI recommendations. Short term, label flows by session, not by week-old streak. August reprints green after the August 10th $145 million break, paired with the WTI holding breaking the low 80s. Watch the August 20th CFTC Innovation Advisory Committee. The agenda language on market structure and event contracts matter more than another advocacy quote. Yeah, that'd be very interesting on the 20th to watch the agenda coming out of the advisory committee for the Commodities Futures Trading Committee. Respect the oil headlines as well. Midterm, 1 to 3 months. The Clarity September bandwidth fight. Map Senate calendar against the midterm shutdown risks. Yep. Keep track of that Senate calendar, guys. Starting in September, they will be back on the 14th, I think, and they will vote for cloture for the Clarity Act on the 15th to get that rolling. They already had approved the cloture vote. Now they just need to vote on the cloture vote. Long term, 6 to 12 months, rails and settlement sovereignty, multi-chain stablecoin cash out, BRICS payment linked experiments, and bank grade stacks, the Metallicus class, compound past cycle beta, post quantum and privacy layers, base layers. Ethereum's roadmap shift is a multi-year institutional diligence item, not a weak trade. AI power complex, miners, and data center hybrids may become a distinct capital market sleeve from pure Bitcoin beta. And the risk warnings, high risk, structural, geopolitical energy shock from the Hormuz escalation can hit crypto via oil rates and equity volume simultaneously. ETF creations and redemptions can reverse sharply after multi-day streaks. Regulatory timelines with clarity and the Brazil October listings can slip without invalidating long-term rails, but they do crush leverage and alt beta. Smart contract custodian and an AI exploit remains live. Prediction market legal data disputes can reprice venue risk prima quickly. This cuts scores assume no sudden straight closure, no systemic exchange failure, and no emergency macro print beyond the headlines. But that could change on the dime. That's why they include that in the market intel report. My AI agent. That's why he says that the risk. That's why this is here. The risk could change everything with the global and macroeconomics. So that's why I put that first on the intel report, guys. We want to know what's going on and how it's going to affect the markets, right? Key metrics to watch: Bitcoin range 60K to 65K, US spot ETF session print for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those seem to be giving us indicators on all of that. WTI, oil, and Brent, the Clarity Act, the CFTC Innovation Advisory Committee. I like how it kind of repeats what I was talking about. It kind of just gets it in our brains, kind of, what I just talked about, everything I just kind of covered, because the language is a little AI-ish. I'm trying to transform it the best way I can into just normal speak to humanize it or connectorize it, right? All right. So I think that's about it. Keep your eyes on the XRPL, Stellar, Public Ledger Health, corporate treasuries, GRVT and USDY build towards 100 million with the Robinhood chain, about 70 million. And the Solana, Stellar now on MoneyGram, or MoneyGram using them. So lots to keep our eyes on and try to figure out what's going on in the space, because it is the Great Awakening. and the financial revolution. This is not financial advice. This has been your daily market intelligence report for August 11th, 2026. You guys have a great day. Mr. Connector out.